Hello, timelyart here. Today's video is about YAML editing. A few tips and tricks. First of all, you want to make sure that you have a good text editor which has YAML highlighting. This will make your life a lot easier. I use Notepad++ on my Windows machine and Pluma, just regular Pluma on my Linux machine, but I would recommend, if you don't have Windows, to use Sublime Text, which is available for Windows, macOS and Linux. So that's first and foremost. Now the meat of this video will be about how to reuse YAML code. So if we go to our screen to watchlist.yaml, which is in the YAML directory by default, you can see that there's a lot of redundant code, in the sense that there's a lot of lines are double. So we have, for example, the URL is the same, the scroll delay is the same, the delay after update is the same. So we can rewrite this and make use of what I call YAML within YAML, or a snippet. So if we want to tone this down, make this different, we can make it like this, which is a lot shorter. And we are basically saying, okay, we have some common code here, which are shared between these two blocks, between these two different screeners. Let's make that into a file, a separate file, which in my case I call it cryptoscreener.yaml because it's specifically for crypto screeners. Now if we want to have a look at how that looks, let me move this to the other view. Right, so we can have what basically happens is that Kairos will see that there's a special keyword file, and it will insert the file which you have here. So this file, on the right hand side, the crypto screener file, it will insert the text here on this spot. So that makes it possible for us to share code, basically, because I could also make like another screener, right? Or I could use it in like a complete setup. There are a lot of reasons why you want to reuse code or not. Yeah, I will go into those a little bit in a little while, but so basically this is how you can like shorten your file. That's one reason to do it. It makes it much more clear. I mean, I could do enabled as well, put it in here as well, but I like the idea of being able to say I don't want the BTC markets, but I don't want the Ethereum markets, and vice versa. So this is how I do it. But for example, if I come to the conclusion that I have my scroll delay is too high, then I can just change it here, and then it will automatically be changed on all the other YAML files where I have included this particular snippet, which makes it far easier to maintain your YAML files. Another good reason is that you can hide, for example, like private details. So if I have, if I go to, for example, my existing daily YAML file for the DAVO, you can see I made setups for the long side, I made a setup for the short side, which means I can use it. This is the daily setup, so I can reuse those setups for example, the weekly time frame or for hourly time frame. Then I have my email setup in a different snippet, which I can use across all of my setups, all of my files, which is really convenient. It also hides my actual email address, So if I want to share my YAML file with someone, I can just basically, I'm okay with just showing you off this because I know that there's no private data in here. And I can share it with other people as well. And they have to figure out that, you know, they have to make their own snippet for email, for example, but you get the gist. The same thing happened for webhooks. You see I have a number of webhooks defined here. And those webhooks, they require, usually they have some kind of password or something which is now hidden. And of course I can reuse these webhooks in different files, different daily or weekly setup. It's a good idea to reuse code, like if code is shared between different YAML files and they look the same, put it into a separate file and just call it from within the YAML file. Of course I can also do the same here. I could do another file here, include some code which is always used in crypto screeners, and be done with that. I could make like a screener snippet which shares like the scroll delay and the delay after update, and I can use that for all my screeners. I mean, this is particularly a crypto screener YAML, so I could make a stock screener YAML and they would include the same file, and the only thing that would be different would be the URL. So it would look like something like, I suppose, file snippets / screener. I don't know, common screener or something. Common screener YAML or shared screener, shared screener settings. .yaml, right? And then I could remove this, make a new file. Let's go to here, YAML snippets, new file, new text document, shared screener settings.yaml. Yes. And then we will open this, put this in, right. So now I've even compartmentalized it even a little bit further. So now the only thing I need to do if I want to make a crypto screener, I can, I suppose, or a stock screener. I'll copy this, rename it, right, edit. Oh, not with PyCharm, that's a mistake. And then I would just make this into screener. Boom, we've got our stock screener. And then I can reuse this stock screener. I can call it from here if I want to. For example, I would call it, I don't know, name my stocks. I would search, I don't know, for ETF or something. I need to, of course, I need to make this screener in TradingView first, but get the idea. Include my screener, stock screener, enabled, yes. That's so I really easily am reusing my code in this way. Yeah, it's pretty cool how this works. Right, so that's about reusing code. So let's see when we run the crypto screener, the screener.yaml. Let's see what it does. I might have made a mistake, but we'll see. I did a clean install, so let's see what it does. Python main.py screeners.yaml. Yeah, looks like we made a mistake here. He says the file does not exist. Snippets. Oh, I made a mistake. So by the looks of it. So if we go to scripter screeners, yeah, so this doesn't exist because we're already in the snippets directory. Same for this one. Okay. Let's see what it does here again. Right, okay, it's running. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with what's going on in the background. In fact, I will. I mean, if it starts like this, if you see DevTools listening on, or do you see the check drivers remarks, then you know your YAML file is good. Right. Now, what Kairos does is it makes a temporary file when it runs. So you can see here screeners.yaml.temp. So if I would open this, you can see that it puts in that it has put in like the file, the crypter and stock screener file, and the scripter and stock screener file have inputted the shared screener settings file into the screeners YAML. So this is the complete YAML. Now, if I would make a mistake, I do something silly like I don't know, something like this. Let's save it. Right. Now, Kairos will break if it can't read the YAML file correctly. So in this case, it finds something while scanning simple. It says something about the error. It's kind of technical, but what it's really about is like line 9, column 3, right? So of course we don't have a line 9 here, and so this is what makes it really a little bit difficult to use, because Kairos is like merging the YAML files together in one big YAML file. Unfortunately, because there's an error, our temporary YAML file it doesn't show up. But what we can do at this point is copy this code and then go to a site like yamllint.com. There are other sites as well. I've got one here, so I can paste this in, right, and press go, and then it says couldn't find while scanning, basically the same message but with the correct line. So you can see it here, right? What you also can do is, before you're trying to edit like snippets, try to edit the parent file first, like make sure that you have everything correct in your parent file, and then use that as because then if there's an error, if you make an error or whatever, then it will show the correct line number in Kairos. But I use YAMLLint quite often. I mean, quite often if I make a mistake, I quickly go to YAMLLint, and it will just show me where the error is. In this case, it doesn't expect this here at all. So, and you just basically correct the error and you should be good to go. There are sometimes not so useful errors. If we're talking about, so for example, okay, let's correct this. But if I would do something like this, like make some now, what it will do is it will see like there's an error within this block. This is called a block. And it will basically say, okay, there's an error in block which starts at line number 2. So that doesn't help you a whole lot. So if I would run this, let's just run this. Right, parse error or parsing a block. Yeah, so now it's coming with the block error. So if you get this kind of errors, you know that something is wrong with your indentation, right? So this should be indented. So it could also happen if you have multiple indentations, then it can also happen like further down the but it will give you an idea of what is wrong. It's not perfect, but it should help you in finding out what exactly is wrong. Let me see, what else do I want to cover here? No, that's about it. I hope it kind of makes it a little bit clear. I would also, if you have never worked with YAML files before, just do a small tutorial on YAML files. It shouldn't take you more than 10-15 minutes. You will get a grasp of the basic concepts, and it probably helps you structure your YAML files in a correct way, and also in a way where this also makes sense, where you're like compartmentalizing your YAML code, either for security reasons or for just because it's easy to share it amongst your all your setups. Alright, this concludes this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.